It is Titans week for the Denver Broncos, and Pat Surtain is top 10. Let's go deep. Okay, game week.
Yes.
So for the guys who made the team, you always seem to make the team. What is the feeling? What is the energy and the temperature like now that you're getting ready for a game for real?
So much different from preseason, from just seeing the number of guys that are in the room. And there's goes from 90 to 53. Yeah, you got the practice squad guys in, but there's a lot of empty seats. And so you look around like, okay. And the coaches, they get puckered up a little bit more where they were kind of,
Wait,
puckered.
Mike Shanahan's face gets even more red?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody does. It gets a little more tense. Not enough, no time for joking anymore.
Right.
And now you get a specific game plan for a specific team. And this game plan has been in the works for months. In fact, Sean Payton's probably been tinkering with this thing since probably April or May, which means sometimes that opening week is a little bit much.
Right.
And the offensive game plans can get a little too expansive, a little too tricky. I've been on teams where we walked into the first game with a game plan that was confusing for everyone. And then you get to, okay, if they do this, we're going to do this. We're going to check to this and do this. To me, bread and butter. Okay, keep it simple in that first game, especially when you've got the better team, which I think the Broncos do.
Right.
Don't allow your mistakes to bite you in the ass. But hey, it's game week. The routine starts tomorrow because today's Tuesday. I know they had a practice yesterday.
Right.
Today's their day off. Tomorrow is the first day of the week, and it's go time.
All right, today's episode brought to you by Landmark Lincoln and the new Lincoln Navigator, next level luxury. You got to drive this thing for yourself. Pop on by to Landmark Lincoln. They are off of Broadway in Englewood, and go see what I'm talking about, or go to landmarklincoln.com. So here's some fresh news for you. The NFL does its top 100.
Yeah.
Pat Surtain ranked number 10, the defensive player of the year. These are the guys who are ranked ahead of him. Number one, really no surprise, Saquon Barkley. Then Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, Myles Garrett, and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Would you put Surtain ahead of any of these guys?
I would. I'd put him ahead of Joe Burrow. I don't think Joe Burrow's
really.
Look at your face. These media guys that are in love with Joe Burrow is insane to me. What has he won?
He's been to a Super Bowl.
Has he won it?
Is that what it's all about?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So what have you done in your career?
I'm not a top 10 NFL guy here, but I'm not in this conversation.
Josh Allen's never been to a Super Bowl.
Josh Allen's been more consistent.
Lamar Jackson's never been to a Super Bowl.
Been consistently better.
Neither is Derrick Henry. Neither is Myles Garrett.
Consistently better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's had one good season, and that was that one.
Which
I'm not talking about the numbers, man. I'm not talking about the numbers.
He carried that team last year.
They don't have a running game, and their defense sucks. So of course they're throwing the ball every play, Eric. That's what happens when your team sucks. Your numbers get inflated. To me, Joe Burrow, great player. I'm not saying he's not good. He's not top 10 to me in the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you put Surtain ahead of Myles Garrett?
No, not really. Not quite yet.
We got the defensive player of the year.
And he was the defensive player of the year last year. Garrett was.
Yep.
And I think his body of work, he's been at it longer. He instills a little more fear in quarterbacks and things like that. You have to game plan against them a little bit more than Pat Surtain. Of course, we're talking about the best of the best here.
Correct.
So it's like saying you're the ugliest supermodel. Well, you're still hot, Eric. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So, but
I am.
Yeah, you're a beautiful man. Have you looked at yourself in the mirror lately?
You're saying that in a very heterosexual way, aren't you?
I'm straddling the line here. But I think Pat Surtain deserves to be in the top 10 for sure.
All right. So Marvin Mims returned to practice yesterday. Sean Payton said he is also going to take a cautious approach with Dre Greenlaw this season. In the meantime, the Broncos 8-point favorites over the Titans.
Wow.
They're the biggest favorite in week one, something that we certainly did not say from 2017 to 2022. It almost seems unreal to me how this roster has evolved, how this organization has evolved, that now they are actually 8-point favorites over anybody. With that, I don't know if you're a gambler, but I know you could talk about it. If you were to put money on the game, would you bet on the Broncos and give the points?
No, I wouldn't. I think this is dangerous talk biggest point spread in the league in the first week, Super Bowl window opening. Be careful smelling yourself when it comes to this first.
No, I'm talking
game.
about you as
I'm
a
talking
fan
about,
and as a media
no,
member.
but me as a potential bettor, no, for that reason. The Titans are coming in here to upset the Broncos. There's bulletin board material all over the Titans locker room right now.
What's the bulletin board material? That they're going to lose? The Broncos haven't said anything like we're going to beat the Titans. We're going to shut down Cam Ward.
I'll tell you, if you let me. The point spread alone. The people talking about how the Broncos are going to win the AFC West. Sean Payton talking about how the Super Bowl window is open. Got to get off to a hot start against these two shitty teams, right?
Yeah.
Well, this shitty team is full of pro football players who are the best in their town, the best on their college team, and now are in the NFL and are making a good deal of money to play the game. The coaches care just as much about it as these Broncos coaches. You got to be careful taking these guys lightly. And ultimately, it's up to Sean Payton with the messaging this week to make sure they don't take them lightly.
I don't think they're going to take them lightly, but I'll ask you, with this Broncos defense going up against an offense led by a rookie quarterback, how many points do you think the Titans score? Roughly. Just give me
under 20, I would say.
Oh, okay. So just give me a number.
17.
You think the Titans score 17 points against this Broncos defense with a rookie quarterback?
This Broncos defense is incorporating some new players here.
So are the Titans.
Okay. But they're still pro football players, and they're still 17 is not a lot, is it? The Broncos can win, and I think they will.
How many points do you think they score against this Titans defense?
24.
24. So you think so your prediction is 24-17.
Ding, 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 ding.
I don't think the Titans score that much.
I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised if they score 10. I wouldn't be surprised if they are in single digits. What I'm saying is none of these teams have really got up to full speed yet.
Right.
We don't know what to expect. And so I think that, the Broncos probably won't be clicking on all cylinders, either on offense or on defense, and neither will the Titans. So I think it could be a closer game than people are expecting.
Yeah.
And a couple things can slip through. The Titans have some playmakers on their team.
Right. Over-under is 42.5, 24 plus 17. Some quick math, it's 41.
Yeah, I would go under. I would go under.
I would take the under as well. Here's something interesting about the Titans from last year, and I know they've made some changes. You may or may not know this, but the Titans were the second best defense in the league last year.
Wow.
Now, as you know, that's based on yards.
Yeah.
Only. It's only based on yards, and it should be based on yards. Would you like to explain why? Or I can explain why. It's based on yards.
What,
only.
Defense?
Yeah. Well, I'll just
because of field position and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So with that, DJ Jones said he thinks the key to winning on Sunday is, quote, the Broncos defensive line dominating the Titans offensive line.
Yeah.
That is a key.
Yeah.
But is that the number one key? Is DJ right? Or is there another key that's more important than that?
I would say the number one key for the Broncos this weekend is to score more points than the Titans. If they're able to do that,
hashtag analysis.
If they're able to do that, I think they'll be able to win.
Right.
But, it's a key. It's a key. Control the line of scrimmage, right? On defense. Right. Going to do it on offense as well. No turnovers. That's always a big one, right? Although it didn't help CU the other night, right?
Game management hurt them a little bit too.
It did.
And by the way, I'll throw this out there. At CU, you talk a lot about all the former NFL players who are now coaches. Marshall Faulk, Warren Sapp, D'Amata Pecco.
Yeah.
Sapp and Pecco. Pecco's a great guy. Covered him here. I don't know much about Warren Sapp as a person because I never covered him. Those two guys are in charge of the defensive line.
Yeah.
How did that work out?
Well, they can't get out there and do it themselves, right?
They can't, but coaching matters.
Well, it does. And a lot of times the guys who are best at it are not the best at teaching or explaining to others how to do it because they were just good at it. They were gifted by God and they were on this hero's journey and they were able to kick everyone's ass. Well, how, when that hero's journey is over, do you pull a kid aside and teach him how to do what you did?
Not to go off script here, but do you think there's a reason why great players outside of a Larry Bird, who was a great coach and a great GM, generally speaking, why don't great players make great coaches? Ted Williams is a classic example, arguably the best hitter of all time. He was a terrible manager.
Yeah. I think it's because, for the guys who were just great, they were just great. It was a natural thing for them.
Right.
It just, they were born ready to swing that bat,
right,
or whatever it might be. They didn't have to work on the technique or study this thing or really try to figure out how to get better, because they were just better. So why are you worried about getting better when you're already better than everyone? Right. But for the guys who almost made it, or made it but didn't, or those guys really wanted to be more than they were. And so they studied it to try to get there. And when they realized they might not have been able to, then they move into the coaching booth and are able to articulate the things they've been thinking about and studying in ways that the great ones didn't have to.
Sean Payton talked a lot about, and has talked a lot about, getting off to a fast start.
Yeah.
Not so good in his first 2 years. 0-2 his first year. 0-3 start
Ouchie.
last season. Why do you think the team has gotten off to a slow start over the last 2 years? Why will this year be different?
Well, they were on the road, right? The last couple of years for that first game, I think that mattered. And, went to Seattle, hostile territory. They had a rookie quarterback.
Well, his first year was Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Last year is Bo Nix.
Right.
And you kind of dovetailed into what my thought is. You had 2 new quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the team wasn't as good under Russell Wilson.
No.
And then you look at Bo Nix, you do have a rookie. I think that stuff is explainable.
Yeah.
For this year, I don't think there is an excuse. You have Bo Nix in his second year, understands the offense better. There's far more talent around him.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I expect them to start 2-0.
Yeah.
Because then they play the Titans. Whatever you want to think about Daniel Jones, whether you want to call him a journeyman, a bust, at the end of the day, they have the good fortune, I think, of probably playing Daniel Jones. But with that, when you talk about getting off to a fast start, let's say they start 2-0, that is a fast start.
Yeah.
But then their next 3 games are a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
You're at the Chargers, you're home against the Bengals, against the most overrated quarterback of all time,
exactly.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Something that you addressed a little bit earlier.
I did.
Don't agree.
Yeah.
And then they play the world champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
So let's say they lose all 3. Is a fast start 2-3? Is a fast start 3-2?
I think 3-2. You win those first 2 games, you're going to want to win one of the next 3 for sure. But how about 2 of the next 3 and go 4-1? How about 3 of the next 3 go 5-0, setting up that,
But would 3-2 be a fast start?
It'd be faster than fast enough. Fast enough. You're ahead of the game.
Okay.
I don't think the Bengals are going to be as good as everyone thinks they.
Their defense isn't good,
right? So
Joe Burrow's great. Jamar Chase is great.
Yeah, but when
Higgins is great,
right? And you just named, you just called out a one-dimensional team, and so you have a coach who understands that, Vance Joseph, and can create a game plan to stop that. I think they'll be all right against the Bengals.
Right now, the Bengals are what the San Diego Chargers were in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Dan Fouts, Jefferson, Joyner, Kellen Winslow, Chuck Muncie running the ball, and no defense.
The incomparable Chuck Muncie.
And no defense.
Yeah.
And that's what the Bengals are.
Right.
All offense, no defense.
Yeah. And yet, again, like, this is me talking, but does any team have the ability to come in and beat your ass? Yes, they do. And so you start with week 1.
Right.
And so why did they get off to bad starts in the past, and how can they avoid that? I think that's the most important thing that Sean Payton and his staff can ask each other. Why have I lost my opening game in the first 2 years I was a coach here? Right. What is it about the preseason, the trajectory of training camp, the way I prepared these guys to play, ended up having them lose the first couple games of the season? That's on the coaches, to me, more than the players, right? When I was a player here with Coach Shanahan, we always got off to a hot start. We always had a nice start.
Yes, you did.
And that really put us in a good position.
December wasn't a good month.
Well, September was, and so we're off in 4-0,
Right.
3-1, 4-2, that kind of thing.
But here was the problem.
Yeah,
you guys always faded at the end, and then got knocked out in the first round.
Well,
except for 1 year,
yeah,
which was 2005.
Yeah,
in which you won a single playoff game.
Yeah,
and then got, sorry to say it this way, you got your doors blown off. by the Steelers. That wasn't even a game.
No, it wasn't. And thank you for reminding me of that. But that's how it went.
Well, no, but wait a minute. You love to point out with harsh rhetoric about what happened in Buffalo last year.
Oh, yeah, harsh.
So, and it has been harsh. So why isn't it fair to say?
I didn't say it wasn't fair.
No, what you said about Buffalo,
Yeah.
that loss where they got run over and they got bulldozed and they sucked.
I'd say that.
No, you have talked about how they got run over.
They did.
And you have been critical about it. Now let's go back to when you played.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be fair to say every time you played Peyton Manning, it was flat out embarrassing?
Well, it was more
in both games.
Yeah, it was more embarrassing than the Broncos lost to the Bills in the playoffs last year. That's for sure. It happened twice in 2 years, 03, 04.
Right.
We ran into a buzzsaw and went in there in Indy and just got absolutely destroyed first round of the playoffs, right? And then avoided them in that 2005 playoffs because they lost to the Steelers, and we had a pass to the Super Bowl, and we didn't play well. Nobody on the team played well.
You were there for not the majority. You were there for the majority of Shanahan's career after he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
2003 to 2008. Is there any way to explain why Mike Shanahan's teams won a single playoff game in Denver after winning the Super Bowl?
I mean, we had a quarterback issue. You know, we replaced our starting quarterback after being a
Jake didn't win either. He won one game.
Okay. Well,
he was great in the regular season.
So Jake was 39-15 as a starter.
In the regular season.
Want to make a point. 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 Let me, please make that point. Make that point. Point. Okay. So the first season, thanks. 10-6, I think we made the playoffs and we went to Indy. It is what it is. And this was a really, really strong team. Our defense got absolutely destroyed in that game. Put it on Jake if you want, but that was
I'm not putting it on Jake. I'm putting it on the team.
Tough with Peyton Manning. The following year was the same thing. It was the same thing. We had a pretty good regular season. And then 2005 was a lot better. We were 13-3, got the first round bye. Things are looking up, but we didn't get to the Super Bowl, and Jake's replacement was drafted. At that point, it was a matter of time before he got replaced. We've been over this story before. 7-3, you get the word. If we lose this Thanksgiving game, he's done. At that point, you're switching quarterbacks. Now Jay's in there, and now this whole team has to adjust to a new quarterback. We were never able to adjust to Jay Cutler. That's just how it was.
Why?
Different leader, different playing style. Everything about him was different. And it was a traumatic thing to have your leader get, replaced in the middle of the season and have this other young kid take the reins who might not have been quite ready for it. And it's no fault of Jay's. He didn't ask to get drafted. He didn't ask to come in here and back up Jake. He didn't ask for any of it. He was doing his best.
Are you familiar with how Jay Cutler eventually wound up with the Broncos? Because they never they never talked to him. Do you know that? They never,
something like that.
Yeah. Well, no, I know that is fact. That through the source that I have, who's part of this process, they didn't want anybody in the NFL to know they were interested in Jay Cutler, so they purposely stayed away from him.
Yeah, that's kind of what George Payton did with Pat Surtain. Didn't give him an interview, didn't send anybody over there to work him out, nothing, because he knew his father, he knew he wanted to draft Pat Surtain.
Right.
But we faded, and once Jay took over, the next 3 years, we faded down the stretch. All 3 years.
What specifically was he not able to do? Listen, all due respect to Jake brought a lot of great intangibles. He was great to be around. He was one of the guys, really good leader, yada, yada, yada. Jay, more physically gifted as a thrower than Jake. And I think even Jake would say the same thing. Although Jay would say it too, because I remember at a press conference he was asked, was his arm stronger than John Elway? And he said yes.
Well, what is he going to say? No.
Well, if you're being truthful, but he did have a rocket.
How would he know that?
But he did have a rocket.
He did. He had a really great arm.
What was he not able to do to get you guys even into the playoffs at times?
I think it's an intangible thing. He wasn't able to instill a sense of belief in the team that we were going to do it. And really, that's what it comes down to with a quarterback, right? It's not just what he can do on the field. It's the belief that exists when you're a part of what he's trying to communicate, when you're in the huddle, when you're a defensive player on the sideline who just made a mistake. How's your quarterback going to handle that? There was a feeling of inevitability in that 2007, 2008 season at the end, like, we're going to lose these games. There was a feeling there. And I know because I was on injured reserve, both of those two seasons. So I didn't get to play in those games. So I was watching. I was there. I was paying attention. I was in the locker room. I was soaking it up. Helpless because I couldn't help. And also, I wasn't on the field. So maybe that explains why we had that fall off there, right? Who knows? There's a variety of reasons. But we dropped those three games in a row at both of those seasons at the end, and then Mike got fired, and we all got fired, and so things happen. But it's a chemistry set, a football team, and it's really hard to understand exactly why one thing goes wrong.
Do you think the Broncos have in Nix what they didn't have in Cutler and they did in Plummer?
I do. I really do. I think Bo is the kind of leader that you want. He's the kind of guy who, picks you up when you're down. He's the kind of guy who's going to go tell you, it's all right, we got you. We got you. If the defense gives up a big touchdown, he's going to go tell these guys, don't worry, we got it. We're going to go down and score. That's what Jake did, and that's what Jay didn't do, and I'm sure he would reflect on his career and understand that those little moments matter. It's not just about how strong your arm is or your tangibles. It's about the way you lead, and Bo Nix, there's nothing he wouldn't do for his guys.
What you just said, you know what we call that in the media business?
What?
A clippable moment.
Oh.
Well done. Short, thanks, to the point, and very informative. Ha! You will be seeing this again on social media on what he just said. With that, want to tell you once again about the 2025 brand new Lincoln Navigator from Landmark Lincoln in Englewood. This thing is loaded, smooth, and powerful. It's got everything that you want, including Liv Mood's driving for you, although she is not included with that particular ride.
Is she doing Uber now? She could come pick you up, take you
in that Lincoln Navigator?
Yeah.
That'd be something.
Cool.
That would be considered on Lyft or Uber like a black type of ride, meaning you get a black car.
Yeah.
And that obviously costs more. But with a Lincoln like that is high end. Go check them out. You can find them off of Broadway in Englewood or check them out at landmarklincoln.com. So we're talking about quarterbacks. Payton was asked about how much more Bo Nix can handle in his second season.
I don't think it's putting more on his plate. I think, and I hear that referenced a lot. I think it's a little bit more of what he's used to and how he operates within it more efficiently, more quickly, more decisively. I've told the coaches, early in the season, it's got to be a process. It's not, all right, this is where we ended last year. Now we're on to, and so I think if I did or used a good analogy, it would be a certain play a year ago. That same play this year, he's out of the huddle a little quicker with the call. He maybe understands the nuances of the play and has seen the cut-ups of it all year, and it is a little bit more comfortable with the same play from a year ago.
A quarterback going into his second year, I think the layman thinks, okay, he's going to have a lot more plays to learn. But I love what he said, which is he has a better mastery of what we did last year because we're going to be running a lot of those same plays.
Yeah, a lot of times when people say, "Oh,"
you can say it like Sean Payton if you want to.
No, I was ready to do it. You kind of derailed me. I was going to do the impression. I was going to actually have some funny stuff to say, but you want this to be straight. We're going to have a conversation relative to the talking points and the things you said about, Bo Nix and situational football. Look, here's.
I can't even have a straight face with you right now because you said.
Have you ever had a straight face?
Because you said. I really wanted to do that impersonation.
Well, look,
basically criticizing me for not allowing you to do it. And then you found a way to segue into impersonating him because you had to get that out there.
Yeah. So look, okay. A lot of people say, okay, now he's really going to open up his playbook, right? Well, not so much. Not so much. The playbook's already open.
Right.
The playbook's already open, okay? So you teach the guys the plays, you see what they can dissect, you see what you call on Sunday. But he's absolutely right. So every single play, you have 5 eligible receivers, right? And a lot of the young quarterbacks, they'll see a defense, they'll pick a side, and they'll throw to that side. But you're kind of ignoring the other 3 guys or the other eligible receivers or what. When you really start to understand the nuance of each play, then all the possibilities around all those eligible receivers opens up. And you see what can happen when this defense, I can look at this guy, or if I look at that guy, then what happens to and then I could go to this guy. And I've never thrown to this guy on this play, but why haven't I? Because we haven't seen this one coverage, or because I haven't noticed that he's open. And so there's a lot of nuance to every play, because every play can change based on what the coverage is. Every receiver has a rule for every play. And based on the coverage, his rule can change, his route can change. And the combinations around all of it are like infinite. And when you start to lock that down in your understanding of the play, then those become clear in front of you. And so the play becomes bigger. And I think that's what he's talking about there.
I want to try and break it down with your experience at Shanahan. So just give me quick answers, because eventually I'm going to have a point with this.
Really?
Generally speaking, every season, how many plays did Shanahan have for the offense?
How many?
Roughly.
Hundreds.
How often did you practice? You didn't practice hundreds of plays, though, did you?
Mm-hmm.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. How often in the next season did he add on to those hundreds of plays? Or was it really he kept it? He might have added a few things here and there, but it was mastering those 100.
Yeah.
It's not like the next year he added 50 more.
Yeah.
It's just mastering his playbook.
The playbook, the offseason minicamp, training camp playbook was basically the same every year. The wrinkles are game plan, opponent specific. Okay. So going into a game, 95% of it is already the stuff we're already learning and already practicing all training camp. But there's 5%. We're going to put in 10 plays, 5 to 10 plays that are specific for this game. And it's based on what the Titans do and what their coaching staff is used to doing and what we think is going to get them here and there. And so you put in some extras just for this game, and you practice those the week of. Sometimes they go well, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you try it on the first play of the game. It doesn't work. You abandon it and go back to the bread and butter. Really, the bread and butter is what's going to win you the game, not your wrinkles. The wrinkles are there for these special moments. If they hit, great. What you don't want to do is spend all week working on the wrinkles and forget to fine tune the bread and butter. And if you fine tune that bread and butter and work on that, the wrinkles may open up, but the bread and butter is what's going to win you the game.
So essentially, and again, going back to how a layman thinks, he has to learn all of these new plays. It's not about learning new plays. It's about understanding what is basically going to be your game plan for the most part, week to week. It's the repetition of practicing the same things that he already knows instead of having to digest a whole new set of plays. Is that fair?
Yeah. And there's an attention to detail that once the quarterback internalizes all this stuff and it becomes muscle memory, then he can help the other guys around him. You tell the story famously about Peyton Manning and Demaryius Thomas in their first practice, Peyton getting on Demaryius for not having the route exactly at the correct depth, right? You told that story?
No,
somebody did.
But he was like that with everybody.
So exactly.
If a route, and I'll explain what I was told. Let's say you're supposed to run a post pattern, okay, and you cut it 7.5 yards, but you cut it 8 yards. Manning would basically say, "We're doing this 10 more times until you get it 7.5, not 8."
Right. And so Peyton probably didn't do that on his first year. He's trying to learn the offense.
Right.
He's trying to learn where everyone's supposed to be. We had Peyton here in his 12th, 13th year, right? So when you finally commit all that stuff to memory, then you can start helping those around you be more precise, which makes the picture look better for you as a quarterback and makes those plays more successful.
Going back to what you said about Joe Burrow, which is he threw up a lot of big numbers, which is true. They didn't win enough to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, what would be a really good season, a step up for Bo Nix? Last year, I think he had 29 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions. He was sacked, I think, like 24 times, threw for like 3,700 yards and completed, I think, 66% of his passes. I think I nailed all of those with no notes in front of me.
The yardage was more 3,900 or something.
It was like 30. Either way, he wasn't at 4,000. Right. So what would be a successful statistical season? And honestly, stats don't always tell the story.
No. And
stats don't always win you games. Again, look at Joe Burrow.
Right. And, there's a book out now on Bo. There was no book out last year. He kind of caught some people by surprise with his legs, including his own coach. His own coach, Sean Payton, was like, wow, we didn't think he could run like that. And now everyone knows he can, right?
Right.
So there's going to be some game planning specifically to Bo and his skill set that might hinder some of the runs. And then, they know the kind of throws he likes to make and things like that. So it could be a little harder for him in that regard, but he's getting better, right? He's getting a grasp of the offense more. So I see those numbers being very comparable to last year. Maybe a few more yards. I think he could get up to 4,000, maybe 30 touchdowns. The picks, I don't really care. If it's at 15, I don't mind that. Go ahead, take some chances, young man. You know why? Because you got the best defense in football ready to take that ball back.
Okay, let's not talk about passing numbers, even though we're talking about a quarterback. I want to zero in on two things. He rushed 92 times for 430 yards last season. You expect more or less this year?
I expect less. The conversation last year that I was having with people was, you got to have designed runs for Bo. Because that's kind of in vogue right now with some of these college quarterbacks who come out, Jaden Daniels, and these guys who are used to doing that in college. And it presents an opportunity a lot of time. You can pick up the first down with these guys. You can catch the defense by surprise with having a lead blocker, and then your quarterback is the running back. You got an advantage there. But guess what? Your quarterback is getting hunted by 11 dudes who are coming to hurt him, Eric.
Right.
I don't want to see designed runs for Bo. And I know there's going to be a few. I know. But I'm old school when I'm talking about protecting the quarterback, keeping him in the pocket, get the ball out of your hands, don't get hit, don't take sacks, don't take off running. Your legs are a weapon, Bo. Use them when you need them, but use them sparingly. Stay in the pocket and deal.
Quarterback sacks. Took 24 sacks last season. What would be a good number for him this season, and do you think it will be lower?
A good number for him would be 0. But we can't expect that, right?
I'm expecting that.
0 sacks.
Actually, on FanDuel, I bet him to have 0 sacks.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are an intelligent gambler.
I'm not. I'm not intelligent, and I'm not a gambler.
So I would say, right around that number is good. I think he was really good last year at avoiding sacks. That's why Sean Payton likes him. However, there's possible it could be a few more because they might call some plays. They're deeper drops and things of that nature. And he might actually try to stay in the pocket a little more this year instead of getting out. I think the low sack numbers and his yardage running was a product of him bailing out of the pocket too soon sometimes. Okay. And so if he learns how to slide in the pocket and buy himself time, that's going to result in more first downs on third and long, but it might have a few more sacks for him as well. When you're buying time in the pocket, you're sliding around. Yep, you get caught sometimes. That's okay too. But the more he can learn to stay in the pocket instead of bailing out early, the better.
All right. We'll dive more into the game on Thursday, but let's just dip our toe in the water right now. You have Cam Ward, a rookie quarterback. I think the last rookie quarterback to win his debut on the road dates all the way back to like 2017, 2018. It's been a very long time. How do you game plan?
Bro, Joe Burrow did that.
It was not true. How do you game plan for a rookie quarterback when you really have no tape on him except for college?
Yeah, you're going to study that college tape, no doubt about it. So there's a couple guys in that Broncos building right now who've been doing that for months now,
right? With
Cam, so they know. And probably even before the draft, I bet Sean Payton had him studying Shedeur Sanders cut-ups too, just in case he goes number 1, right? Because they want to be ready for whoever they're playing.
I think Sean was smart enough to know he wasn't going number 1.
You think so?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Was it collusion?
Was it collusion?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
You think it was collusion?
Hold on. I don't want to go down that road.
What, you think it was collusion?
No.
Okay.
I think that the reason why I think that the way you stop.
You need to touch the mic a little bit more and tap your feet more.
I think the way to stop a young quarterback is to confuse him. Is to present a lot of fronts, disguise things. Pull 7 guys up on the line of scrimmage, and then 3 of them drop out into coverage, and then 3-4 rush, and that's how you do it. You just confuse them. You create some coverages that are, that get rolled to in the last moment, and they haven't ever seen any of that stuff. And these young quarterbacks have a hard time with that stuff.
I understand that it's any given Sunday. I get how it works. These are professional players on the other side. They get paid too. But if they struggle against Tennessee, a team they should beat handily, would you be concerned?
Sure. I mean, because in the way that not like you're saying. I wouldn't say, all is lost. This season's going to be a real problem.
I didn't say all would be
lost. Would I be concerned if they lost? Yeah, I'd be concerned because they're a better team, right? But I wouldn't
Even if it's a close,
but sometimes that's the best thing that can happen to a team is to lose the game you're supposed to win.
I'm not saying they're going to lose. I'm saying they don't look good. Whether they win or lose, they don't look good.
Well, the win is all that matters.
I get
here,
it. Yeah.
And so what I hear from you is setting up a reason to be mad even when they win.
Who's mad? I'm not mad.
The reason to be skeptical about the long-term success possibilities of this team, even if they lose or if they win a close one. All that matters is the W. Okay, that's all that matters.
It's about what we see on the field and what we've seen on the field. And we look at this roster. We know they're talented. You said on one of our shows you think they can win 12 games.
Yeah.
Okay. If they don't look good in their first game, I'm not saying you're going to change your prediction, but will make you pause and say, maybe they're not as good as I thought they were.
I don't think that would do that for me. I would think maybe they weren't quite ready to play in this first game. And
I don't get that. I don't get when players say, well, we weren't ready to play. What does that mean? I hear that. I mean, I'm not saying you said that. I'm not saying you said that in the locker room, but plenty of your teammates have said things like, well, they wanted it more than we did. What the fuck does that mean? What do you mean they wanted it more than you?
Swear jar. Do you have
no? Seriously, what does that mean? I don't know if that's ever come out of your mouth.
I didn't say anything about wanting it more.
Right, but that would be a line coming out of the locker room from the Broncos if they lose to the Titans. Well, they wanted it more. Yeah. You've heard athletes say that. What does that mean?
Okay, so referencing what I talked about earlier, a busy game plan, something that's too complicated, too much, and it puts doubt in your brain, and you go out there and you're thinking and not just playing free. That happens all the time. To me, that hamstrings players and makes them play less than what they're capable of. This is on the coaches. What messages are you giving your players? What is your game plan looking like? Is it simple? Because if you're the better team, you don't have to have some, quadratic equation. Let's keep it basic, addition and subtraction, and we'll go out there and whoop their ass. Okay. But if your coaches are a little too tight and they're freaked out about it and they put in this complicated game plan, and then the night before they put in some other stuff like, I just thought of this thing, then you go out there and you can't play free, right? And the team that is, it has a chip on their shoulder and has heard all week how much they suck and comes in and has more to play for and is not occupied by that doubt or confusion about the game plan, then they can end up stealing one.
From what you know about Sean Payton, and let's take some of the things he said, I think that we should talk Super Bowl around here. I think Bo Nix can be a top 5 quarterback in the next 2 years. From what you know from the outside and then the people that you've talked to, Mike Shanahan didn't give you too much early on, correct?
Oh, he did 1 year.
In the opener.
Yeah.
Was that the Miami game?
That one, but the St. Louis, we were on the road. I think that was 2006, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, and it was loud, and we had all these audibles and checks. No one could hear anything, and we lost that game to a bad team.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the Miami game, which I was at, it looked like you guys were like melting like a bucket of water got poured on your head,
too, yeah.
like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right.
With Sean Payton, knowing how intense he is, knowing he hasn't won an opener, knowing that his first year 0-2.
Onside kick, first play of the game, right? Against the Raiders a couple years ago. His first game here. Or was that last year?
I don't remember.
Okay, so the Broncos did an onside kick in the first play of the game against the Raiders. Maybe that wasn't
Seahawks.
No, that wasn't against the Seahawks. It was against the Raiders. It wasn't the first game of the season.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
His first game, Peyton's first game was in Seattle because it was Russell Wilson coming home.
I'll say this about genius offensive coaches, because that Sean Payton falls into that category, right? No one ever called you a genius offensive coach for coming up with this very basic game plan. Okay. They always feel the pressure to be smart with the way they do stuff. And when you have a 2 or 3 month runway, the temptation is to throw it all out there. And that is not good for the players. The players don't like that. They don't absorb that. They don't thrive in that environment. Keep it simple. And that's what's going to allow you guys to go pin it back. Now, it doesn't mean don't put the wrinkles in. Don't put the few special plays, and don't talk about how we're going to get the mental edge over this team, because that's very important. But too much can slow your players down.
You mean like Nathaniel Hackett in his first game running a jet sweep with Noah Fant? You mean those type of plays?
Yeah. Well, Nathaniel Hackett was changing the game, right? He was doing something innovative, and sometimes The foundational stuff is what works. Go attack. Go on the attack. I want to see this offensive line come out of their stance forward and attack the defense. Put them on their heels. And that's what running the football in the first half allows you to do. When you pass set, what do? You go backwards. You're catching. You allow them to tee off. Let's go on the attack. Let's shoot out of our stance and go road grade some dudes, and then our play action pass will open up.
That's going to do it for us. He's Nate. I'm Eric. We will talk to you at 11 o'clock on Thursday. Make the best possible day you can.
Bye.